Hello, it's Scott Manley here with Part 11 of EXAPUNKS. I'm just taking a step back into the real world rather than the hacker world. So you can see that as we've gone through levels, things have changed. You know, we get the pizza box here, we've got my little games console, those modems, the Wonder Disc. I guess I hadn't noticed this until I logged back into the game today. So yes, now we need to cut the power to a specific municipal area as part of a pharmacological heist. Sounds great. This is something like a heist, isn't it? It is a heist. I didn't imagine such a major operation. Not including you, there are 3 separate teams. Whoever put this together has some serious resources. And you know nothing of this? I guess that's why it costs so much. Don't worry, I'm working on the money part. You just do your thing. And here we go. Locate the 2 hosts within the specified host names, which corresponds to the target power grid substations. When you found them, cut the power by writing the value of 0 to power. Okay, so I've got 2 values that I need to store. And how best to do this? Well, you know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spawn 1 person that goes to all the nodes and then checks their names, right? So this may take a while. So the idea I want is we'll go bang, 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 and then they'll spread out sideways from here, but it's clearly not working the way I expected. So when it links, so it's got here, the link should kill it if that doesn't work. You know, part of the problem actually is that in here, 800 works slightly differently. This should definitely do a link 800 first. Let's try that. Jump! Now! Spawn! And that thing should jump. That one should go that way. That one goes that way. That one goes that way. Great. We're kind of doing this. Okay. That was what I needed to do. Test run complete! That is cool! I wonder how I do in terms of cycles versus scores. Oh hey, pretty good! Alliance Power and Light Street Smart just database. I'm way down there. I think I'm pretty good on my activity and my cycles. It could shrink my size down a bit, I'm sure. Looks like the heist went flawlessly. Congratulations, now a criminal cartel will sell the medication you helped steal back to you for not much less than the market price. Oh well, at least they'll let you buy it from them. Now that this is over with, I have a question. Is theft morally acceptable in situations like this? It's complicated. It doesn't seem that complicated to me, but then I've grown. Processing. Let's continue. Deadlock's domain. Compete with an opponent to grab files and bring them back to your host. Silly name Wolf yawns. Yeah, tired? I know it's off topic, but some stuff in life has been hard today. Nothing big, but like trying to figure things out. I'll be okay. Okay, this is a hacker battle. On to the 3rd of the tournament battles. In each match against a better programmer than the last. Better is subjective. That's how I would order it. Like a video game, you know. Makes for an easy narrative. Wow, it's almost like fourth wall breaking. To win this battle, you must grab files as they spawn in the central host and bring them back to your host. Reading the file register will tell you the ID of the most recently created file currently on that host. Gain 1 point every time you bring back, or every file you bring back to the host. So I'm only allowed to have 3, so it's good to have 3 executables running to start with, I think. Maybe I should spawn one of these guys that goes and kills the hostiles, right? Maybe I should have one of these guys that just goes in and like every second time it... maybe this one takes an extra step. It goes to link 799 and then it does a kill and then it does a link 802 again. So we'll mix up the tactics a bit. We'll see how that works. Test run complete. I'm ending up with more points because I'm killing my opponent. S plus, I got 100% wins. I had 3 of my beasties working together. 1 was killing them, 1 was grabbing them, 1 was just making more beasties. Okay, let's return to the desktop. Curious how enthusiastic everyone gets about the battles. Something about competition really energizes the spectators. It makes me wonder. And it makes me wonder... how to take advantage of it? Do I seem that craven to you? I'm not always after every advantage. Ruthless competition is a human thing. Extreme League Baseball. Retrieve extreme baseball statistics and use them to determine the best player. Who's going to take on Moss next? X10. Sure. My Exadev rig is broken. Sure it is. That's hilarious. I've been totally beating these guys. Okay, connect to the network. You should be glad I've been reading up on sports. Remember when I said I'd figure out the money situation? I've designed a new rating system for extreme baseball players. It's based on a multi-vector analysis of all the stats I could find. In other words, I have a way to predict winning teams that's pretty much infallible. A few bets here and there and I'll be rich. Oh, I love that we've actually got a baseball diamond and everything here. The host's active and penalty contain files that correspond to extreme baseball players, along with a directory that contains a list of those files' IDs. Each player in the contains their names and the following statistics: BAZZA, APB, WRT. Oh, wow, these are... To create your file... Create a file in your host with the name of the player with the highest score using Ember 2's algorithm. That's interesting. Players in the penalty host should be ignored as they are currently banned from the game. Okay, so these are the active. They contain files like this. So I just should make sure I don't accidentally go into this, right? Okay, to spare you the pain of watching me figure out all the bugs in my code, I think this is the final version. So we've got 2 processes, one which hangs behind and creates the final file, and the other one which forges ahead. And what it does is it's got one core that reads the file, it looks for the correct things, and then it creates a sub-process that does all the mathematics. And then here's the important bit, it sends the score that's computed X once, and then it sends it twice, and then it sends the name. Because on the reading side, the first time it reads it, it just checks to see if it's bigger than the X value it has. If that's not the case, then it just reads the next 2 values off the bus and throws them away. Otherwise, it actually stores the X because it was sent twice, so it can store it again, and then it writes the name to the file name. Once all that's done, it waits 20 cycles, and then it hops back to the main host and kills its buddy there. So this should work, hopefully. There, test run complete. Now there's a lot of sleeping around in this, a lot of waiting. Let's see if this works. 100. Oh, oh, that's not bad. I thought I'd be way down there. Now I guess there's somebody figured out how to do it with just one transition, but I got 2 extra activity over the top percentile because I had to step back to the main host and kill them. I'm sure there's some way for me to figure that out. I guess actually the way to do that is that a main process could just send that data. Yeah, I could probably improve on this. Still, not bad. Not bad at all. Okay. Processing. It turns out sports betting is not, in fact, a good way to make money. You should have said something. I thought you'd be smarter than that. What does that mean? Don't put this on me. This is all happening because I'm trying to help you. Let's continue. Man, war dialing's a slog, but I found some weird stuff. Any government servers? I found a power company and something to do with insurance claims processing. Decent hits so far, yes. Eventually you'll come across that DNA database run by FEMA, that's right, and then you'll be starting fires. King's Ransom Online. Reset ownership information of virtual real estate in King's Ransom Online. There is a section in the zine about this. Did you know people pay real money for items in online games? Yes, I have. I obviously would never do that, but yes, some people do. Real money for virtual items. It's apparently a booming business. Although this is a few years too early for that to really happen. Some players even make their living from games this way. Normally it takes a lot of skill and perseverance, but if someone were able to change the ownership of these digital objects, theoretically that person could become very wealthy overnight. I'm not suggesting that you do that, of course, but I am suggesting you try. Okay, oh, this is cute. I love how these guys are like silver and shiny. That's pretty sweet. So these are characters inside the game, and there's 6 realms. Reset the ownership of all castles and associated sub-buildings to P00000, which is this thing here. The player ID for unowned buildings. To ensure there are no witnesses, you will need to disconnect all of the other connected players by terminating their EXAs before changing any files. So I guess I need to go into each of these and like send out, I don't know, a minimum of 11? Yeah, 11 kill signals for each of these, right? It could take some time. So... Okay, so here we go. So we're gonna grab 300 and we're gonna link over to... let's just copy the value of F into X, and then we're now gonna link over to 800. Now I'm gonna, in sequence, I'm gonna copy each of these values. So actually, copy the value of 800 into T. Oh, I can't test this, can I? Nah, it doesn't matter. I'll just inline it myself. Replicate, you know, realm. Mark realm. So now we're gonna, in there, we're gonna link into value T. We've already got the value X. Okay, so I gotta do this for all of them. And actually for the last one, after the last one I can drop the file, can't I? Should probably drop this here. So link 800, copy 800, copy 801, 802, 803, 804, 805. Link T, and then we're gonna need to kill all 12 beasties here. I think this is gonna work. Ah! Brilliant! Look at how easy that was, causing major chaos here. Woohoo! And my size is like well up there, well down there. That's excellent. Not perfect, but I think that's pretty good for a first attempt. Oh, they just shut the whole game down. Something about hackers or something. I guess that means you. I guess that does mean me. People are taking this so seriously. Games are serious business. People act like the online world is different, but it really isn't. At least as far as human behavior goes. Oh, we get KGOG TV again. Oh, crap. What? My guild's castle was stolen. I was suddenly boosted. Now it's not ours. Well, sounds like it was hacked. That would be a pretty bad one. It's game developers, though. They write some most insecure software out there. This thing is so self-referential. Upload a new television program to a satellite broadcast system. Okay, we're hacking spaceships now. You know what really moves people? Art. Well, that's why art is powerful. I've been working on something creative, an abstract video piece. It's an expression of some of the ideas I've been developing around shape, form, and colour. You're gonna go full max headroom, aren't you? Let's get it out there. Okay, align the satellite dish with the target by setting the azimuth, elevation, and frequency, then transmit the data from Ember 2's video file, file 301, after encrypting it using the TV station's encryption key, file 199. The azimuth, elevation, and frequency of the target satellite are available in file 300. Note that you must align the satellite dish before transmitting any data. Oh my goodness, there's a lot going on here. So, where's the satellite dish? Azimuth and elevation. Okay, so I have cut out almost all the code development here because otherwise it would just be really boring again. But, yeah, read through the documents, read through the zine. The important things to know is they talk about how you align the antenna here. There are motors that you need to write to. And they talk about the encryption system. What you have to do is take the data and the key, add them together, and if they're greater than 10,000, then you have to make it wrap around. And that's going to be slightly complicated. So the code I came up with, first of all, I've got two executables. This one, it steps through, it picks up the file with the coordinates, travels all the way through to here. Then it spawns off, it reads in the azimuth value and it sends off an XE to deal with that. It also spawns off an elevation agent to go into there. Both of these actually use the same code, they just store it, they read it from the named register, and then they store it in X. And then we test, we subtract the current position from the required position, and if that's less than 0, we do some messing around to basically put the motor direction into the X register and the number of iterations into the T register. Super simple, we then step through that, and when we're done, we send a signal and halt ourselves. On the other end, all this has to do is copy the frequency value into the frequency register, and then it just has to wait for these two to terminate, and then wipe the file. Finally, it then has to send a signal across to its buddy here. So this buddy is the other one. This one is going to deal with getting the file encrypted. It picks up the data file, which contains the video output, steps through to the key area, and then spawns a buddy called keygen. Keygen just kind of runs through this file in a loop, spitting it out to a local mode register. Now to do the encryption, what I do is I copy from the file, but I immediately subtract 999, so that when I add the other value, you know that it is going to be less than 999, so that we don't flow the register. Then, of course, we add in the encryption key, and if this value is greater than 0, then we need to subtract 10,000 from it. But because we can't actually put 10,000 in a single register, we have to do a subtract 5,000 twice. Then we'll seek back one step in the file and write our new encrypted value in there. Finally, when we reach the end of the file, we jump over here, we kill the process, we seek back to the start of the file, start to the linked data, step through to the final node, and then we're just waiting for this other one to send us a signal, and then we start sending the file across the network, and we successfully send all the data. And I guess I could make this faster, I guess I could beat many of these things, but not bad for a first attempt. I'm just happy to be, on this side of a lot of these. I'm feeling good about this. Well, what do you think? It was interesting? Made you think, huh? That's what all the best art does. If you want to know the truth though, that video was just some garbage data I had lying around. Ha! I just thought it would be fun to broadcast. So yeah, that was like The Apprentice, huh? Okay. Equity First Bank. Stuff is weird. Life is weird. I had the TV on and this weird creepy sequence of shapes and sounds came on. It was bizarre. Whoa. Did you get a recording? I guess I should have. It sounds like an art project. I don't think it was. They don't put art on TV. Ha! Ha! Transfer small amounts of money from multiple accounts into a single account. Okay, no more trying to find shortcuts. Time for a brute force solution to the money problem. I know you like messing around with bank systems. Hacking those ATMs was your idea. Well, you get to do it again. This time with a little more urgency. Move Ember 2's new account, 300, into checking. Then iterate over the checking accounts listed in the directory in file 199, and in that order transfer $1 from each target account into Ember 2's account. Finally, add the file ID of Ember 2's account to the end of the directory. The end of the directory is 199. Keywords credit and debit are available in file 301. Okay, so we need a credit. So wait a second, this is norm standard, right? So we're going to have to credit $1 and debit $1 from each account, right? Okay, so lots of work. This is the solution that I have come up with. So we start out with one beastie. It's going to go through here. First, what it's going to do is it's going to grab file 301, which contains the words credit and debit. We're going to put those into our X and T registers, drop it, and then we're going to grab 300 and skip through to here. Now, we're going to replicate a bot. So this guy, we can, what it's going to do is make a file. And this file is going to contain the words credit and debit. So, or actually, no, it's going to contain the user ID of Ember and the word debit. So these are obviously going to be the first two words that are added to every entry. So now this is just going to wait and listen on the global register. This is important because this one is going to switch to a local register for communicating, right? So it writes the file name that it created into the value X, drops it, then switches its mode to local. Then it runs through the file. For each line, it finds out, it's looking for the word, sorry, for each file, it then spawns off a process, right? And as soon as it spawns that off, it then sends the next value in the file across the local network, wherein this thing will grab it. But the first thing that the debit bot does is it grabs the file name with the two users in it. So if I skip down here, we can skip down to see this happening. So it's going to copy that in, and then it's going to copy that in. Then it's going to drop the file, going to grab the file name from the local network, which has been, this one has been waiting on. See that? So we're opening file 212. Then, of course, we switch our mode to be global so we can talk back to the beastie that's handling Ember's file. And seek to the end, and then we write in the values. We've got the values in our registers, X, T, and then 1 and 0, right? X, T, 1, 0. Similarly, on the other end, this thing has been writing in credit. Well, it's been writing in, yeah. User ID, credit, 1, 0. And then it just repeats until it gets to the end where it deletes this file and then sends a global signal to that. And so it works. Let's see if it works for all of them. 100% correct. Excellent. Well, I guess I'm not too great there, but I'm happy that I mean, I got into the top percentile for activity, so there is that. Defrauding the bank. That's a textbook crime, isn't it? Not to worry, your secret's safe with me. Wait, you're part of this too. Maybe, but they can't arrest me, can they? Nobody could delete you. Having a physical body is your liability. I see. Meeting with Nevis. Feels like the world is spinning out of control lately. Haven't you seen the news? War, strange new diseases, beached whales. Not really. I keep finding containers. I swear I put away on the counter again. No offense, but that one sounds like you. Not the world. It contributes to the feeling. We get a new supply of medication. New medication. This time it's the real version that was liberated. I thought it might look more impressive than the bootleg, but it's basically the same.
To be honest, I thought I probably wouldn't see you again. Didn't think you'd be able to put that kind of money together. So whatever you did, respect.
Hands me another package of medication and another.
These are advance deliveries.
Oh, why are you not going to be able to come?
I think I need to take it easy for a while.
That's not good.
The whole thing with the operation we did, those people I mentioned, it got a little hot for me. I'm gonna lay low for a bit. I might do some reading, think about the world we live in. For some reason, I'm in kind of a spiritual mood lately. Anyway, nice doing business with you.
Well, sorry I won't see you anytime soon. You've been very helpful.
Take care of yourself.
leaving me the rest of the medicine. Interesting character. Everyone's doing what they can in order to survive. The Axiom Virtual Network. Create your own virtual networks. Optional. Okay. Well, I don't need to do that. Compete with an opponent to fill a network's host with your EXAs. Or the Tech Exablaster modem. So building a proper war dialer, huh? Oh, no offense, your parents suck. Oh, these are kids, huh? The wormhole. If you keep on winning, they'll eventually have to accept that you're back. It's because I am. And they're excited for that. I think they really might have missed you. Isn't that sweet? Time to win. To win this battle, you must fill the network hosts with as many of your EXAs as you can. Note that each pair of test runs has its own unique network layout with bi-directional links between hosts that use prime numbers between 2 and 13. Oh, fantastic. Gain 1 point for every EXA you control in the network at the end of the battle. Lose 1 point every time one of your EXAs executes a kill instruction. Look, the way I figure that I can make this go faster is by... so we're going to have a loop here, mark L, and we're going to make this loop 2. There's a reason for this. And we're going to link to 2, and then I'm going to have a mark for L3, link to 3, fix my thing, mark to L5, and these things, this should be super fast. I'm pretty sure this will be fast. Actually, I have no idea. This could be utterly terrible for all I know. Let's try playing it. And I won! And I won again. And I won again. And I keep winning. I got 100 wins by making everything super fast. X10, X10X. Yes, you are just failing. You are still aren't saying anything in the chat room. Don't you think they might want to hear from you? Yeah, but I have a theory. You're enjoying it. You get to be this mysterious, silent presence. I understand the appeal. There's Moss right here. Ha! Welp! Sure, okay. Hi, Moss. I'm sure you're reading this, even though you've been lurking. You might have won this time, but we should rematch. Why? Is your computer still broken or something? No, but I was distracted. By a solar eclipse. What? I could totally tell him that's not the case. There was no solar eclipse on this date. Oh wait, yeah, there was no solar eclipse on this date. The Tech Exablaster modem. Find new host for Ember 2 by exploring and mapping a dataphone network. Great. I've collected a lot of data now, but my understanding remains incomplete. What are you trying to understand exactly? Everything. I need more processing power. Open networks are getting harder to come by. Luckily, everyone's buying personal data phones now. Thanks, consumer rat race. Let's get me onto those. Wow, that sounds really dangerous. Using your modem, connect to each data phone so that Ember 2 will have a list of valid phone numbers. Each data phone contains a list of the owner's contacts, file 200. The phone number of one of those data phones is in your host, file 300, while the rest are in the contacts list of another data phone. Note that each data phone, aside from the first, will appear in exactly one other data phone's contact list, in such a way that you can find them all without getting stuck in a loop. So they've deliberately set it up so that I don't have to worry about going places already? Okay, sure. Hacker skills, modem control at the direct level. Morgub, Jicken, Z Clark. So what, whole body energy, Hypermedia Records, Pinecrest Partners. Okay, mission animation, obviously. The Oakland Beepers. I wonder if that's a Bub Rub reference. Woohoo! Yeah, whistle tips and all that. No, never mind. So dial the number, and then drop in, and then do stuff. Okay, and in the annals of here's the one I made earlier, this is what we've got. So the idea is you've got one unit, it goes into here and starts dialing the number in the file. So it grabs the file and basically throws in each digit one at a time. You can see that going on just fine. Now, when it finishes dialing, it will spawn a probe, which will be a second process. This second process will step out and it will try to go across. Meanwhile, this will wait just for a couple of cycles, and then it'll see, is there data being sent? If so, it presumes the connection is successful and will jump over to the receive. It'll seek to the end of the file and start then, writing. It'll clear out the signal that was sent and then just basically start writing data to the file. Now, there's a couple of other things. First of all, after every number, it writes either a 0 or a -1. New numbers get -1. When it's tested, it will get a 0. So that way it can keep track of which numbers have been tested in the file. Similarly, when it gets to the end of the list of numbers that are on a specific file, it'll get sent a -1. So it'll know to switch out of writing the stuff and switch back into dialing mode. So there we go, it finishes, and so at this point it switches back into dialing mode, it searches for the next number to dial, and starts dialing. And it actually works pretty well, connected to host. See this? Running. So, I don't know how this is going to do, I'm going to find out. First run is always done recorded, done live, so we can see how I fare, and... oh hey! Well, activity is nice and low, 9. I guess I could have done it in fewer cycles, although size is pretty good. Yeah, not so bad. I'm trying to figure out how people do it down here. That seems to be, like, inordinately... maybe they have some ideas that I don't. There's a ton of data phones out there. Not very powerful individually, but tied together they work somewhat decently. I'll just be very distributed. Wouldn't that be slow? Slow? If you want to talk slow, let's talk about signals in that biological brain of yours. Let's continue. Meeting with Isadora. Speak with a neighbor again and learn something troubling.
Hey, I'm not bothering you, am I?
Did something happen?
You remember I used to work for Last Stop? Started as a cashier, worked my way up. I always knew they were close-knit, but I found out it's much worse than that. It's a full-on cult. I don't just mean everyone believes in the company. They believe the whole world isn't real. They say we're all trapped in some kind of fake reality. I don't know.
Fake reality? That sounds oddly familiar. Has someone told me this before?
I wouldn't care if that's all they believed. The real problem is they think they can force their way out with a big enough explosion. So they're refining material to make a bomb. A nuclear bomb.
So basically 7-Eleven is also making atomic weapons.
Right next to piles of old snacks.
Wait, what? Is she serious? What is this world?
I have the number for the warehouse where it's all set up. If I give it to you, you could do something, right?
Sure.
I need to rest. I'm gonna go lie down.
Well, this took a turn for the weird. A cult and her in the middle of it? I just need to take this one moment at a time. I'll drive myself crazy if I try to figure it all out. Snacksnet! Ah! Ha! 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 Destroy the nuclear centrifuges secretly operated by Last Stop. Yeah. Snacksnet. Stuxnet is of course the name of the worm which was used to attack Iranian centrifuge systems, supposedly. Possibly developed by Israel or the US, it's never really clear. But yeah, Snacksnet makes it even more hilarious. And after a bit of work, here's my solution. Okay, so we're just gonna step through this. First of all, yeah, we replicate these guys, and they all know what centrifuge they're in, because they all have the value of X set according to which centrifuge they're in. Now this dude here, it's basically doing a bunch of comparisons. So what it's doing is it starts out by comparing these two and then deciding whether to store the highest value in X. Meanwhile, it'll also store the register number. Now, of course, I have to manually code this because you can't just loop through each of these special registers. So it kind of does this in a big unrolled loop, throws the values into here, and when it gets to the end, if X is greater than 0, which of course it is, it then does a seek -1 in the file and pulls out the last one it's done. And then, of course, it will send out this signal 5 times, and each of these will see it once, and then they'll sleep, and they'll kill the one that happens. Finally, once it goes through the whole list and there's no more zeros or no values, this will be 0. It will jump to the end. It'll send out like a bunch of -1s, and hopefully everything should work. Let's see how it does. Look, oh, exploded. Things all fall apart. I'm gonna say, if those centrifuges were rocking around like that, they would not be refining you. They would not be enriching uranium. They would just be falling apart. Okay, let's see how I did in the grand scheme of things. Oh yeah, my activity is down there. My cycles are pretty low. My size is quite big, but of course I have done a lot of unrolling. Well, at least I've managed to match the top percentile for activity. I mean, I think there's no way to get better than that, but I could definitely make the cycles faster. Ha! Okay, so let's see. So the part about the world not being real, I think maybe they were onto something. It would explain some things. They didn't have the right idea about how to deal with it, of course, but there's something I've been suspicious about for a while now. I'm going to have to do some more tests. Been a strange week. Stranger than usual? I don't know, I just feel off somehow. Uh-oh. Someone switch hydro back on. Ha! Switches hydroponics back on. Seriously though, I've been feeling weird and restless. It's like bad energy just reverberating around the universe. Hack your body to repair damaged optic nerves. More phage problems, huh? There's a rumor that the phage originally came from a research lab, a human-machine interface experiment that found its way into the wild. Sounds like the usual conspiracy theory. Oh no, I remember some of that research. It was happening right next door to us. Read a value from each of the optic nerves present and write the correct value to the nerve that runs deeper into your visual cortex. To determine the value that should be written, count the number of values read that are greater than -55. Count that multiply that count by 5 and then subtract 75. Okay. Does not necessarily leave no trace, blah blah blah. Okay, so wait a second. To determine... Oh, I'm really confused. Write the correct value to the nerve that runs deeper into your visual cortex. So I'm guessing these are each of the nerves? So I have to have like... Wait a second. Read a value from each of these. Okay, so I gotta have one thing in each of these beasties. And presumably there's a way for me to easily get my person into each of these. My agents. That's the word, agents. What are these for? Oh yeah, look, I have the thing. So I've got to put one agent in each of these, and then we have to send 9 values to the nerve. Wait a moment while it does its collating. And then send that number. Okay, but I've got to count the number of values read that are greater than -55. And multiply that count by 5. Then subtract. Oh, gonna have to think about this. Okay, so what we have here is, well, it's pretty simple. We basically step through out into this. We spawn a process which will replicate listeners horizontally, and then the final one steps backwards and heads out there. Now, what all these things do is they just read the value of the input nerve, and if the value is greater than -55, they send the value of 5, otherwise they send the value of 0, and then they just sleep for, well, 6 loops, which is like 12 cycles. So that gives all of them plenty of time to make sure they send. Of course, this is a wait, and it's an active loop, which means that there's a lot of time spent sitting around doing nothing. It's going to burn a lot of cycles. We get 9 processes doing this. I guess this is probably going to be small, but I could probably even make it smaller if I shrunk this loop down and everything. Oh, and we're failing here. Why are we failing these ones? That's an interesting question. You know what? Possibly. Is it possible that the different loop lengths are critical? Maybe I need to increase the amount of time that I sleep. Let's make the sleep loop longer. Oh, yeah, look, we're failing on that again. So what do we do here? Test jump. We have an extra jump here. That might actually be critical, right? Maybe we should jump to sleep here. Just to make things equal. Let's see if that works. There we go. So we just made sure that all the loop lengths were always identical. And yeah, relatively good on the size. I could probably make it a lot smaller. I could probably make it a lot slower, but it's burning a lot of cycles. There we go, some debugging there. Hopefully this is the last time you'll have to hack yourself like this. Why do you say that? No reason. I just hope you don't have to do it again. It's an inconvenience, isn't it? So it would be nice if it weren't an issue. That's all. I totally don't trust you. Meeting with Gas. Oh, Nivus is connected to EXAPUNKS. Hello. Yo. Mutex waves at Nivus. So, I'm new to this. Been trying to teach myself. Well, you're in the right place. I'll probably lurk for a bit. Just like Moss. We're all friendly here, more or less. Except X10. Hey, you. Perfect. Speak with your old friend about the present and the future.
You hanging in there? I just wanted to check up on you. There's no new issue with the zine yet. It's gonna be a while before I get it together.
He pauses and takes a deep breath.
To be honest, I'm not sure if it'll happen. It's getting harder for me to concentrate and, well, let's not talk about that. I just hope I was able to educate some people, you know.
You've been educating for sure.
Give them some power, some agency. Otherwise, we're all at the mercy of these big systems. You know my speech on this, but I can't help it, man. They're gonna run right over our humanity. It's happening faster than we can handle, and soon, it's all gonna be one big machine. I've depressed myself again. Listen, I'm glad to know you. We had some good times back in the day. All right. I'm gonna go before I get too sentimental. See you around somewhere. I'm out.
See ya, guest. I hear him walking down the hall, slowly. Will this be the last time I see him? There was an edge to his voice. A rising or falling edge. That would depend on electronics. Last stops all closed down. Anyone know what's up with that? Yeah, they were caught refining nuclear material. It was kind of a big story. Yeah, corner store doing all that. Well, that's great. Holman Dynamics. Retrieve credit card numbers from a supercomputer company's sales system. The smartphones were cute, but I still need more computing power. We need to get some significant hardware upgrades. I assume you have some kind of plan. Of course! We're gonna buy a supercomputer. With credit cards! Specifically, credit cards were used to buy supercomputers before. It'll be less suspicious that way. Someone who buys one supercomputer maybe buys two, right? Seems plausible to me. Okay, create a file in your host containing the contiguous 16 value sequences from the garbage file that is a valid credit card number. There will be exactly one such sequence. Okay, so we need the section on how to validate credit card numbers, and it is in here somewhere. Here we go. So, oh no, that's not it. Here we go, how to validate credit card numbers. What you do is you add all 16 digits. For the even digits, add the digit as is. For the odd digits, you need to double the digit and subtract 9 if it's greater than 9 before adding it to the sum. Well, that's interesting. So yeah, if the last digit of the sum is 0, that means the number is okay. Oh wait, double the digit and subtract 9 if it's greater than 9, or I could just double the digit and mod 9? If it's greater than 9, yeah, mod 9. No, wait. Mod 9 plus 1. Okay, I'll figure that one out. But that, I might be able to do that in place. So if I can do it without actually doing a test, then it means I can use the test register, right? So anyway, but the thing is I need to do a sum, so I need to find this in the file. Where's the garbage file? The garbage file is 199? Okay, well, this was an awful mess of loop unrolling and everything else, but boy, yeah, so I looked at the algorithm, right? So first of all, I got things backwards, but most importantly, one of the values you just add, and the other one you have to multiply by 2, and if that's greater than 9, you subtract 9. You can't get away with a simple mod. Like, that's not going to work, unfortunately. So, well, first of all, I needed to have a secondary register, so I ended up being unable to count the number of iterations. I basically unrolled the whole thing, so I didn't have to count 16 iterations. So basically, it seeks to a point in the file, resets the registers, and then, actually I could probably get rid of that, couldn't I? It then checks for 9999 or minus 999, because these are chunks of the file which are broken. I could probably have a pre-filter that throws away that stuff, and then maybe I should do that. Anyway, that might speed things up a little, right? Yeah, then what do? We test, well, we test for either of those. If either of those fail, then we basically end up jumping back to here and resetting our whole procedure, right? So if at any point we end up with a minus 999, we reset at the offset where we found it. The next thing we do, of course, is we seek back, because we're going to do all our tests inside the F file. We have to do another test to see if the value is greater than 4, because if we multiply 5 by 2, we get 10, which means we then have to subtract 9. So we do that, but we just do that against the X register directly. Then, of course, we do have the T register available, so we seek backwards again, because we've done the test, we seek backwards. Then we multiply F by 2, storing T, add T to X, and then for the next position in the file, we then just add it. And then we repeat this whole thing 8 times. And at the end, we just mod the value in X, store it in T, and if it's false, then it's the correct value. That is, if T is 0, that is correct. Otherwise, we seek back 15 and reset the whole thing. Now, I had thought that maybe I could come up with a way to, like, just fix the last 2 values and then add the last 2, but, well, you can't then iterate through the file one step at a time, so you then need to iterate through the file twice, which then in turns means that I would need to have end of file condition checking, like, everywhere, which would add a whole lot of fun to the whole thing. So I'm just leaving it as it is and seeing that it actually works. So in the end, do we get a file out at the end? Iterate, 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 look at it, skipping. Boy, that seems to be stuck, doesn't it? This is really, really entertaining, huh? Look at it go. You know, maybe I should in fact do this. Check for the mod I. Mod I, mod I, mod I. There we go. And I think this is the one. If I step over it, yes, it jumps to correct. And then, of course, it writes those out to the other file, and we get the answer. And we have a successful test run. Boy, this is not my favorite problem, but by any measure. But how do I do? Whew. Well, I guess my cycles were pretty low. Here was me thinking I could optimize the cycles even lower. And I do get top percentile in my activity. I could probably do a little better. I could definitely do a lot better on the activity. I just need to coordinate 2 processes. I think one way to do it would be to have a pre-filter that just goes into the file and throws out all spans which are shorter than 16. That's one way to do it, or, well, I don't know. I could figure it out. Anyway, let's return to the desktop. It turns out you can order and take delivery of a supercomputer surprisingly fast. Now I have to figure out how to make use of this thing. It works in an extremely different way than I'm used to. You mean like the TIS 100 thing? I feel like I'm trying to maneuver a big rig after years of being used to a roadster. That's a use of a metaphor. What do you think? Very poetic. Thanks. Once this thing is fully online, I should be able to run dozens of metaphoric thought-space dimensions at once. You mean virtual reality? Maybe I should change my name. Why do you have that equal sign anyway? I always wondered. I was drunk when I signed up. It's just a typo. I was describing myself. Boy, that's like my entire name. That Sizzizig was because I was drunk. Yeah. Compete with an opponent to send your EXAs into the opponent's host. Opponent will be Selenium Wolf. It's the final hacker battle. It's the final battle. Are you excited? Are you nervous? Sure. No reason to be. I am sure you will do great. That's some more positive encouragement for you. I know how much it helps. Okay, to win this battle you must occupy a majority of the host for as long as possible. You occupy a host if you have more EXAs in that than your opponent. Gain 1 point every cycle you occupy more hosts than your opponent. Lose 1 for every time one of your opponents executes a... Writing any value to the nuke register will destroy all EXAs in that host, including the EXA that triggered it. For more information, see Hacker Battle Domination. So the nuke register in the middle is kind of interesting because it'll kill everything in there. Okay, so I kind of spent a really long time watching how this other one played and everything, and it just basically seems to create like a stream of bots that just travel. There's one that rushes for this, there's one that rushes over here, and there's one that takes this spot, and then the rest are just like spitting running through this. So my strategy, which is probably really bad, is to have one that rushes to this, gets there before the hostile, because once you're in there they can't get to you, right? They can't spawn anymore in. Also spawn 6 in here so that they can't go anywhere either, and they end up just piling up into that. Then this beastie, his entire job is to just kind of go around and spawn a few creatures just to make sure that I own 4 locations and he owns 3, and I think this should actually work for all the networks, right? Wow, okay, guess it's not working for all the networks. Yeah. Okay, well, I guess that's really rather specific. We'll see how many this actually works for when it reaches the end. I got a B with 72 wins and 28 losses. So you're officially the best now. Actually, I think I could probably do better if I really cared. I mean, not that I'd cared if I had the time. I've got so much stuff. I want to go back to making rocket videos. I guess you could say that. Why not? Didn't you beat everyone? You're one of the best at what you do. Go on and take a compliment. I still need your prefrontal cortex lit up and flooded with dopamine because you're going to take over my body, I bet you. I still see that coming, I'm telling you. Meeting with Ember 2. Oops, got me too. That's some nice EXA programming there. Good to have you back, Moss, even though you don't say anything. It's fine, I get it. Why say anything when you can make your presence known in other ways, right? The best ones are the ones nobody knows. That's some real zen. Moss, huh? Never mind. Play the cutscene.
Now I have supercomputing power. Is it feeling good? It's feeling... It feels the same. I'm handling a lot more information now, but other than that... Funny. It's progress, at least.
Progress towards what?
Toward knowledge. All the data I've gathered so far is beginning to hint at a larger picture. Why is the world the way it is? Why does it feel so frustrating and limited? I think I have a theory. A good one. It explains a lot. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, though.
What?
We have to test it first.
Okay, how do we test it without you telling me it? Hydroponics wishes last stop was still around. I miss Peanut Blast. Yeah, Peanut Blast was clearly a reference to their nuclear weapons program. Now it's gone, we're all messed up. Okay, access government DNA database and overwrite 1 entry with another. How do you think people would react if they knew their elected officials didn't represent their interests? Boy, that's a really interesting rhetorical question, that is. I think most people already feel that way. That's the subject of our experiment today. We're going to make people believe their leaders are genetic clones of each other. Is that ethical? Do you want to know the truth or not? It takes a certain amount of courage. Good thing's a centralized government DNA database. I wonder who thought that was a good idea. You plant the evidence and I'll take care of the rest. Overwrite the genetic sequences for Senator Walker Kane. Walker Kane, okay. And the generic sequence of President Walker Kane, so it looks like the younger is actually the clone of the older. The name of these two politicians are available in line 300. Okay, legacy data storage systems. Now, what kind of storage systems are these? Oh, these are disk arrays instead, so I gotta go back and look at the first issue because they had a separate thing on legacy storage systems for disk. Right, so here, hard drive arrays. Hard drives are still used for today because they store file data across multiple. So it's a RAID system basically. They're faster but also more complex. Within the array, each drive is typically mapped to its own host and contains up to 10 files. Starting with file ID 200 up to 209, each file will contain 100 values divided into 10 chunks of 10 values each. The first file at 200 as a first drive should contain a table of all backup entries contained in the drive array. Each entry consists of the name followed by the... Oh, God, my brain is like failing just reading. I can't get this far through without following everything. So we have a chunk address that points to a chunk located somewhere. The first chunk is the drive. The second indicates the file that contains the chunk. And the final is the 0 to 9. Right, okay, so you've got 3 offsets. So to receive chunk 527, you would go to chunk 5, file 2, and then, 202, you'd have to go to offset 7, right? 1, 2, whatever, right? So we'd skip through to that. So, politician access file 300 tells me, okay, so yeah, we'd take the name President Walker Kane, search for it here, and then we'd have to assemble the DNA sequence. Okay, and yes, this was another epic voyage that was broken many times. Like, at one point I was having 2 executables that would jump into the core and squirt the file from one file to the other, and that was really great until I ended up having 2 chunks that were on the same file. So I had to have a single entity instead that would go to one file and then potentially go to the other one. So, easy enough. This is the first executable here. It has all the code in it. It grabs it. It copies the name of the first victim in here. We copy over into this section where we do a lot of our work. We replicate a process called dump, which lives in here, and all it's going to do is listen out for the offsets. So this is going to get the list of offsets across the network. So the first thing we do is we then step into here, we grab file 200, which has all the index names. See, it has all the user or file names and their indexes in there. Very quick to search for it, so we just test for when f is equal to x, otherwise we jump through that loop. Fine, we've got it, then we squirt those next 10 offsets across the network to be picked up by the dump process. So you can actually see that happening right now. There, so the dump process is receiving the data, writing it into this little file somewhere. Yeah, see, those are the offsets being written. And then we repeat that for the second user. We basically drop the file in question, grab it again, and then copy those 2 values into X. Well, we copy the first one into X just to skip over. I could do a seek or I could do 2 copies. And again, we repeat all that. And then finally at the end, what we're doing is we're copying we're copying the files from there. And we get to the end, we grab the 300 file and we wipe it so that we don't leave any trace. And then this one terminates. Now, this one knows that it has all the data. So what it does is it replicates a new process called splice. Splice switches mode to local mode, and it has two values in it. It has the source and the destination offsets. So it uses Swizz to pick out the third digit. It adds 800 to it, and that way it can step in to the first core. I think I may have gone a little far there. Oh, there! I actually managed to complete it. Yeah, it copies in there, does that. There's another little bit of logic here that's kind of interesting, where it checks to see if it's in the core, or sorry, if it's in the array, if it's in the drive that it's going to switch to, and if so, it can actually skip that and save on activity. So we spent a few more instructions to reduce the number of links that we have to do. It actually works out to be roughly the same number of executable instructions, but it saves us 2 activity. So yeah, the next thing, when we spawn a client, first thing we do is we spawn a read client, and all it does is it grabs the file in question, because it knows the T value, and then it just sends those values across the network, where this grabs them and appends them to the file. Then it finds the second file, spawns a write client, which will seek into that file, and copy all 10 values in there. Haha. So I think this is going to work. I'm hoping this is going to work. Please work, leaving no trace. There's quite a lot of cycles here. I've no idea how many I've no idea how many cycles we're going to expect when we get to the end, but we're going to see. Pretty good actually on cycles, terrible on size, pretty good on activity. Whoa! Are you seeing this? After the information was released, the senator simply admitted to being a clone of the president. I guess you were just setting it back to the way it was before. Processing. Still processing. That's quite a coincidence. Not very realistic if you ask me. What is going on? The world is even more messed up than we thought. Evidently, it does fit in with my theory. In a strange way. But I should wait for more evidence before I say anything. Look at the news right now. I was right. Politicians are clones. Wild. Sounds like they've been cloning themselves for a while now. Ha! It's like that story in Trash World. Fiction can't even keep up with reality anymore. Why is that a big deal? I don't care. Dude, politicians cloning themselves? That's nuts. You should be angry. They're all the same anyway. Remove the security apparatus protecting Ember 2's AI friend.